Well, what do we have here? The QBU. We're actually using it in a video. I never thought I'd see the day, but this former underused weapon is one of the weapons that was standing in my way from having a service star with every primary, and that's something I've been messing around with lately. It stood in my way because I needed some more kills with this. I think this and the Sega 12 gauge and the USAS are the only ones I have left. But I have 0 kills with the USAS, so I don't know if I want to blemish my 0 kills on my battle log, and get the service star with it. What do you guys think? Should I get the service star or should I just leave it as 0 kills? I think it's kind of funny that I have 0 kills with it. But yeah, what's going on, guys, in the works? And we're gonna talk a little bit about making the bullets today, because a lot of you guys have been asking me about that. You want to know about making bullets, and I've talked about it in some of my older videos. And to be fair with you guys, I don't work there anymore. A lot of you guys ask me if I still work for Winchester. I do not. I work from home. I do a lot of things now. But yes, once upon a time, I did make them the bullets. And, it's not as cool as it may sound. I mean, the mechanics that go behind making a bullet are very, very interesting. I mean, basically, I started at the factory as a normal, grunt worker working in packaging, and packaging doesn't really mean me putting bullets in the casing. I mean, it does for certain rounds. Certain rounds were already pre-assembled, but some rounds you would actually sit on the machine as they put the bullet head into the cartridge and to form an actual round. I mean, you take the bullet head, you put some gunpowder in, the casing comes down, it shoots it into the casing, you put the bullet head on, and then you got a round. A lot of people look at a bullet, they call it a bullet. The bullet is actually the tip of the ammunition, so I mean, not to be all technical on you guys, but that is technically what it's called. But my job was pretty unglorified at that point. I didn't really do much. I just basically sat there and watched it get assembled, and that was basically my job after I got out of college, because it was tough to get jobs. I don't know if you guys have had to hit the paper trail trying to fill out resumes and get an actual job when you graduate college. But right now the economy is not so bright, so I had to take whatever I could find. And at the time I was like, okay, I'll do this for a while, I'll find my dream job. But I ended up taking a full-time position there with a more interesting job, which was called quality assurance. Now, while I was on quality assurance, basically it's quality control, whatever you guys want to call it. I focus more on the NATO side of things. So I was working with the government contracts, FBI contracts, stuff like that. And my job was to make sure that the rounds met the certifications of NATO, met the certifications of the FBI, because the FBI and NATO are obviously going to be very, very picky about how their ammunition looks. They don't want any flaws whatsoever, because that could endanger a life. I mean, if you've got a 5.56 round that has a leaky bullet head where water can get in, it's going to be dangerous for that soldier if he's out in a wet environment and his round doesn't fire and he's fighting an enemy. So obviously we had to have really high standards in terms of that. Now, me personally, I wasn't a hard grader, I guess. I was very lenient on letting my people make sure that they fixed the errors, because it was important to me that the ammunition was quality at the same time as doing my job and making sure people were they're reasonable, because making ammunition is very tricky. I mean, the machine goes wrong, next thing you know, you've got a defect, and 100,000 rounds are just ruined, and that's a lot of ammunition. That's a lot of money to waste. So it was a very stressful job at times. I mean, it was easy though, and I had to make sure, I did all sorts of stuff there. I made sure that, like I said, the bullets were waterproof, which means you basically take 10 bullets, you dip them in water, and you look for bubbles. And if they don't pass the bubble test, you'll have to, you can't pass that, you can't let that load go out. And I really understood that more so than a lot of people I worked with, because a lot of people don't realize how dangerous it can be if a round doesn't fire properly. Like FBI rounds were either 40 Smith & Wessons. I think we had a couple 38 specials. They did order some of that. And just 9mm and stuff like that. Just normal pistol rounds are what the FBI worked on. But to me, the most interesting side of my job was working with the NATO contracts and working with like the 7.62 rounds, the 50 cals. And let me tell you, the 50 cal rounds are amazing to look at as they make them, because there is a lot of metal that goes into one of those things. I would not want to get hit by that. But the 7.62 rounds were something that we didn't run a lot. We didn't make a lot of 7.62 rounds when I worked there, just because there wasn't a lot of demand for them. Now, we manufactured 5.56 rounds like there's no tomorrow, because the government ordered a ton of those. I mean, right now ammunition, or at least the time when I was working there, the ammunition demands were very, very high. So On a normal day, I would mostly focus on the 40 Smith & Wessons, the 9mm Lugers, and the 5.56 rounds, making sure that those were all good to go. And my job wasn't really that glorious. I mean, I had some crazy moments. One time, I've told this in the past video, I got shot in the back of the head by a shell casing that went off. Some chick was sitting there sorting 40 Smith & Wesson rounds, and I told her, I was like, look, these are the only rounds that you have to worry about going off when you're sorting them, because they're very, very testy. She's like, oh, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. You know, next thing I know, I'm walking by with my clipboard, and I hear boom, and I get hit in the back of the head by a shell casing. Now, it didn't hurt. It scared me and kind of zinged me, because if you don't know, a bullet cannot kill you unless it's chambered. It cannot gain enough muzzle velocity to really do anything. I mean, it can hurt you. There's no doubt about that. You can get some burns from the powder flash, but for the most part, it's not dangerous unless it's chambered. So it scared the crap out of me. The girl had to go to medical because she had some gunpowder burns on her legs, but needless to say, I treaded a little bit more lightly at that point because, before I was like, oh man, there's never going to go off. That'll never happen in a million years. And then within the course of like 3 days, I heard like 5 rounds go off and got hit by one of them. So there were some dangerous parts of the job. I mean, it wasn't like I could get killed or anything. And we were in a couple fires. Fires were pretty common because gunpowder is a very volatile substance, but they had a very solid system to put those out. So overall, my experiences making ammo was very enlightening. It wasn't the most exciting because, jobs are fun. It sounds fun until it becomes your job. It's kind of like making videos. It's like at some point you're like, okay, this is just my job. But I learned a lot. I know a lot about almost every standard ammo type there is to be had. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I will see you guys next time. Peace.